even on such images as the one you see here, you had the Mendelssohn portrait in profile. And this is the miniature you see here. Thank you very much for your attention. So we agreed that the three presentations are going to start our panel. There's going to be one presentation after the other, and then we will hopefully have questions about all three presentations. The second presentation is going to be given by my colleague Therese Zier. She is the curator for photography here in the Jewish Museum. She's going to talk about a series of photos that belongs to the room Catastrophe, the years between 1933 and 1945. Her presentation has the title Photographing in Spite of Danger, Werner Fritz Fürstenberg's Photos of Antisemitic Signs in Nazi Germany. I welcome you very warmly.
I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to make a presentation, and I would like to share it with you now. I would like to repeat its title. It's taking photographs in spite of danger to life, Werner Fritz Fürstenberg's pictures or photographs of anti-Semitic signs in Nazi Germany. And we can see 26 photographs. These are photographs of anti-Semitic signs, but also signs in showcases and shops. All the photographs were taken by Werner Fritz Fürstenberg, showing mostly rural areas. And he documented these signs in order to show how Jews were marginalized in that times. Werner Fritz Fürstenberg was the owner of the leather shops, Albert Rosenheim, together with his brothers. And after the boycott of April 1933, he intensified the export business. And in 1933, he opened a very successful subsidiary in Amsterdam, where he lived from then on. And he remained strongly associated to the headquarters in Berlin, and he traveled a lot between Amsterdam and Berlin. These photographs were probably taken during one of these journeys. The photographs arrived at the collection of the Jewish Museum of Berlin as a permanent loan by the son and the grandson of the photographer, by Thomas Alexander Fürstenberg, and I would like to extend my gratitude to them so that the photographs can be part of our collection, and I'm allowed to speak about them today. And when we prepared our permanent exhibition, we made intensive researches about the stock, and we looked into the photographs, examined them, and we had many different results. I would like to share them with you now in short. Of course, we examine the question where the photographs were taken, and we have some hints on the photographs themselves. We see a sign Achtung, for example, on one of the photographs, and on the other two photographs we have the inscriptions Hildesheim and Heiseter. And on the right-hand side, on the top, you also see a train track, which was a very interesting hint, the course of this track. And we also have some buildings, houses that can be seen on the pictures, and they still exist. We also have some hints that Fürstenberg was driving a car, which can be seen on the photographs on the right side. On the bottom picture, there is just a small part of the car. And thanks to these hints, we could reconstruct his route. He drove from Berlin to the Netherlands, and he drove on the Reisroad number 6 through Bad Harzburg, Hildesheim, passing Hanover to Lübeck, and then to the Netherlands. Another important question was the date of the photographs. And we have some hint on the photographs themselves as well. You can see in the top row, we have some issues of the Stürmer, the paper, and they can be dated to August 1935. And we also have some further hints in nature. On the left side, on the bottom row, you can see a harvest car, or you can see the leaves on the trees. And these are all hints that refer to the end of to late summer. So we can assume that the pictures were taken in August 1935. It's also very interesting to have a look at the texts on the signs, because they show how brutal these signs were. Because on the left-hand side, you can see that Jews are not desired, or Jews have nothing to do in Aarberg, or the contact to Jews means an exclusion from the community, or Jews have to take responsibility for their lives. And we also have a further sign on the right side that the department store opposite on the street belongs to the Jew David Boaz, which is a personal defaming. It's very striking that you can also see what they are very different in the fonts, and this is a hint that they were locally written, and they also show how strong the marginalization of Jews was in the rural areas, especially. Anti-Semitism, marginalization, and discrimination were very decisive in the everyday lives of Jews, and they fled to bigger cities because being anonymous was a kind of help for them to establish a life. And the fact that the signs disappeared after 1935 shows that people escaped the rural areas. It's also very striking when we look at the signs and the photographs that there are no people on them. So they are very scary, actually. And maybe there are some exemptions. You can see two people here in front of the showcases showing their backs to the photographer. And on the right-hand side, you can see some people on bicycles that go away from the photographer. And this also suggests that there was a certain degree of risk when taking these pictures. So he had to be alone when he took these pictures, and he took a lot of photographies from the car, from the inside of the car. And you can see in the bottom, next to the car, there is his fiancée with a dog. She's holding a dog, and it looks like a tourist photo. Yes, they use the dog so that they look like tourists. And a private Jewish businessman driving through rural areas without a protection, this means, or this shows that there was very high risk at this very courageous action to him. The objective of these photographs is documentation and information, and Fürstenberg had to take these pictures very quickly and not raising any attention, so he didn't want to have high quality images, but he wanted to have a large collection and a very wide range of these signs. And he was very sensitive towards the increasing marginalization of Jews in Nazi Germany, and therefore he was increasingly ready to document these atrocities in spite of all the dangers. And he handed over copies of these photographs to the Central Jewish Information Office in Amsterdam, the predecessor of the current Wiener Library. And there is a collection of information about Nazi Germany and persecution, and there are some slideshows about this. We know that his photographs were used in 1935 and 1936 with distorted information in order to protect him, who was still in Germany, or in many cases in Germany. They renamed the routes he was driving along in, like, Düsseldorf, Berlin, for instance, and he was also described as a motorcycle driver from the Netherlands. And you can also see that the face of his fiancée was whitened so that her identity was protected as well. The photographs can be seen in the permanent exhibition in the context of National Socialism, presented in this double showcase on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, in the same room, there is a big installation with a lot of examples of anti-Jewish measures, and we can also see a map, a violence map, which informs about anti-Semitic violent acts between 1933 and 1938 in Nazi Germany. In general, it was very important to us to show National Socialism from a Jewish perspective. So we used Jewish sources, and there were some exceptions, but mainly Jewish sources. And the photographs of Fürstenberg are a perfect example for that. Of course, we also have pictures of anti-Semitic signs from the perspective of the perpetrators, like in the midst of celebrations, village celebrations. But the fact that the Jewish businessman was successful in documenting marginalization with his camera is very decisive, and it makes this collection to a very specific document. On the last slide, you can see some sources and literature sources. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Theresia. In the 3.5 months when the museum was still open, or 2.5 months maybe, visitors were really fascinated of these pictures, of these photographs of Fürstenberg. And now we will listen to the third presentation by Tamar Lewinsky. She's curator for contemporary history in the museum, and together with Teresa Zier and Martina Lüdecker, she designed the room of